to another episode of the Beast Files. I am Jeff, 831. I am here with an extra, quite special man and a very good friend. This special guest, number 930, Patrick. Patrick, how are you, buddy?
Good to see you, Jeff. How you doing, buddy?
So good. This is a long time coming. I've had a lot of folks message me and get the comments that they want you on, and especially in the last couple episodes, they've seen us together. So, talking in the background, trying to strategize on what's going on, and the folks want to hear what the truth is. So, here we are.
Here we are.
Well, here we are.
The Avengers always wanted to play an honest game, so let's give them the truth. Give the people what they want.
I agree, and because it does play a role in Episode 8, our Alliance, would you mind kind of giving the audience a little history lesson on the Avengers in 90 seconds or less?
Well, it all started in Vegas when I saw a silver fox walking down the hallway, and I have a background in entertainment and modeling, and I know a model when I see one. It's kind of like, I don't know if you're a banker or a nurse, or I don't know, maybe that's a terrible, maybe you don't know a banker and your nurse when you see them. But when you're a model and you travel the world for 10 years and you work with a lot of models, it's very obvious when you kind of see someone who probably works in entertainment. And Jeff had some experience, but I thought he was much more successful than he actually was. And so I see him and I go, hey. And I stop him real quick. Like, I put my hand on his chest, like a friendly, like, hey, in the hallway, because there were a lot of people and I wanted to stop him to talk to him. So I stopped Jeff in the hallway, hand on his shoulder, chest. I go, hey, do you know Patrizia in Milan? You're with I Love, right? I Love Models. And Jeff just looks bewildered. And he keeps doubling down that he doesn't know what I'm talking about. And I'm just like, come on, bud. Come on, who you signed with? Are you with IMG? What about Wilhelmina? New York? How long have you been modeling? 20 years, right? Gotta be 10. And I keep peppering Jeff. And it took me about literally 3.5 minutes of doing this to realize he wasn't pulling my leg. And he actually is like, I modeled for this brand in a warehouse once. Like, he actually was like brand new to modeling. And it was so funny, the interaction, that we immediately just liked each other. It was a good vibe. And I was like, hey man, I really like you. You're funny. Like, do you want to come join the Avengers Alliance that I'm building? And he joins me. And ever since then, ride or die.
Yeah, and I mean, the interaction was as awkward as Patrick shared, but he brings it back to a group, and the group is already kind of a well-formed group of like 10 or 12 people, and they're just good people, and and I think you hit it on the head when you said these people wanted to play fair and look out for each other. In Vegas, we all stuck together, and it was awesome. Just a solid group of folks, and then many continued on. Actually, nearly all continued on to Toronto to Beast Games on Amazon Prime, and then just with every episode, a couple kind of went by the wayside, mostly by chance, and then we started adding some more. So that's where you'll hear, Patrick talk about Avengers 1.0, 2.0. I don't know if we ever got to 3.0, but
we did. We had Avengers Phase 1, and those were the Day 1 Avengers. You were a Day 1, I was a Day 1. We were Day 1 Avengers, ride or die. As we got more and more people out in Episode 1 and 2 and 3, I started realizing we need to make friends in this game, genuinely, but like for our sanity. But we also need to start thinking about who are the friends that we want to play with in the end of this game. And if all of my Avengers Alliance gets wiped out, where does that leave me in the shuffle? So you know what? We should start adding. Phase 1 Avengers is us. We should start adding Phase 2 Avengers and Phase 3 Avengers and just keep going. And it's like an open Rolodex as long as we find good people who want to play really hard but really fair.
Yeah.
And I don't mind a little, like, you can be a little edgy. You can be strategic. You can make some daring moves. As long as you're not a jerk, you're in.
And when you look at it, I'd say, just to give some color actually to the audience, some notable Avengers you would know from kind of Episode 5, The Island, Brennan, 7-Eleven, was Phase 1. Another Phase 1 was 204, Chris, who was in my cube. You had 460 Cody. You had Blakely 592. You had Annie 536. We had 180 Jessica. And who else were we missing? We had
JP, Justin,
Justin
a
66.
whole bunch of others. Jeremy, he was in our Avengers from day one. He was kind of had his own friends too, but he was definitely one of us. And we had more, and we kept adding more. And really the Phase 2 Avengers got us through a big part of the game because we lost a lot of day ones. And the Phase 2 Avengers were Maddie, player
852.
And Matt, player
851.
And then in Panama, we lost a bunch of people. And so I said, we got to do Operation Avengers Underground. We're too hot from the Jeremy Chopper. We got to make some new friends, genuinely. Who do we want to pull in? And so Jeff went over with some of the older crowd. I went with some of the younger crowd. Maddie went with some of the girls. Jeremy went with some of the guys. And we all started pulling people. And who we really ended up finding was JC, player
566.
Jordan, player
499.
and Gage, player
974.
And this is why me and Jeff are just so dynamite, and I love it. He was the numbers guy, I was the sleuthing. And so JC was this really well-liked character who was very social. Jordan was very kind and good personality, but when you sat one-on-one, you realized he was a cold-blooded killer who was ready to play this game like I was. And so that's why me and Jeff loved him. And then, of course, Gage, just, you don't know who he is. They don't show him much in the episodes, but he's hilarious. And he's just a goofy goober. He's a great guy.
Goofy goober, but who's also super talented, very thoughtful, and is able to see things that others don't.
That is true.
So, okay, so we've kind of laid out our alliance, and I think the reason we did that is because episode 8, the entire audience hears about it. But the thing about our alliance, it wasn't very hidden. It wasn't like this covert alliance. We everybody knew we were the Avengers. We would have cheers in front of people. So this wasn't this crazy alliance of
backstabbing and secrecy.
It was very open. And I mean, I used to always be bewildered because you would invite so many people all the time. Oh, yeah. You want to come to the Avengers? Come on in. You would always extend it, but not everybody would step in. So now that we've kind of said that, I think, I want to go directly to this episode because it's so full and it's just an absolute whirlwind of emotions. We start at kind of the trolley game, the elimination train, with Twana up top, and you have kind of 380 and 697 on one track, and you have 817 and 566 on the other. Queen JC, then Dino and Jazz. And I think we all knew where this was going. I mean, Patrick, did you have any doubt that he was going to...
I had no doubt that Dino was going to go. I think we all could read the room. It was pretty clear. Some people, I think, were upset that he was pushing people to be captain and felt a little uncomfortable from it. And, he didn't really do that with me too much. But, I understand why people would feel that way. I think if anyone pressured me, I got asked by the girls the last round to be captain, and I literally, that's one of my favorite parts of the episode of 7. Everyone's asking me to be captain. They're like, Patrick, and I go, Jeff? And Jeff just goes like this.
Oh, I mean, I gave him a look of a dad, hey,
he just looks down and goes.
And just to give some color, before the episode, when we got to the train tracks, we got on the platform and our mask got taken off. I think we quickly realized what this was going to be. You have this platform above. It's going to be Sophie's Choice, the trolley problem. And so we've built some great social capital amongst the 21 people there. We had good friends. We even had we were close with people we were neutral with as well. And so this is just one of the things where we looked at each other hey, the upside of being captain probably isn't worth the risk. So let's not do it right now.
Yeah.
And I think Akira stepped up obviously twice and was an absolute he was just he was Akira. He did what everybody expected him to do. Was he is going to do what he thinks is fair. Okay, I don't know these people, or these people didn't play the game very hard. And it came back to bite him when Bethany took it. And then the last train was Twana. And When Twana got picked, how did you feel?
I was always trying to lead votes. There were two things with Trolley Problem that were relevant. One, you and I promised to never be captains because we didn't want to vote each other out on the tracks, and we never knew what game would be the one where you had to vote your best friend out because it didn't start like that. The second issue, or the second thought I have with Trolley Problem, is I always wanted to try to lead votes in a voice of the people way, but also in a way that furthered our game. I think there's a thing you can do where you play a strategic game, but you also play a genuine game. So you can elect someone captain because it serves you and your alliance's interest, but you also can do it because it serves everyone's interest. Nobody spoke for 10 seconds when Jimmy asked who the first captain should be. I counted because I didn't want to be a target. And when I counted 10 seconds, nobody says a word. I'm like, all right, Akira should be our captain. He took out the Habibis. Obviously, he's playing an honorable game. I vote Akira. What do y'all say? And everybody's like, yeah, Akira! Like abandoned villagers. And it was great. And we just kept doing that. We switched to Bethany. And then it really got intense when it came down to the end. And everybody asked me, and I'm like, I'm not putting Jeff on that track, damn it. I'm not doing it. That's my boy. I can't do it. And I don't want to find out if I can. You know what I mean? Because me and Jeff have talked about if we had to take each other out ever, and it's a tough conversation. Because we got really close. But when Queen stepped down, at that point, we had talked about Queen being, I'd heard she'd done something shady in the cubes, but I didn't know what. So I didn't really know her that well. I got to know her after Panama, and she's hilarious. She's a strategist. She should have been in the Avengers. She was amazing. And so I felt comfortable with Queen as captain, even though she wasn't in our alliance, and I was kind of gunning for her. Then, as we're talking, I said, everybody hold up. We start talking. And Dino, I'm in the middle of saying something, and Dino he's like, I'm doing it. And honestly, it took me by surprise because he was asking everybody else to be captain. But I think once he heard the top 10, he was like, okay, well, this secures my spot. I'm safe. Makes sense for me.
Yeah.
But it didn't make sense for me. And here's why. Dino was really quiet after choppers in Panama and in the city. And I tried to talk strategy. I tried to talk strategy a couple times with Dino. And he was kind of no strategy. And I don't know what it was, but it rubbed me the wrong way. And I thought maybe, oh no, like I said something or he doesn't like me. But then I talked to other people and they said, yeah, he's been really quiet. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm a strategist with a major alliance in the game. If you're acting shifty around me or you don't want to talk strategy, I'm going to, if you don't want to talk strategy, I'm going to be a little nervous around you, even if you don't talk about it a little bit. And so when Dino stepped up, there was no way I was stepping behind him because I didn't know where I stood with him, even though we just did the physical challenge. And I immediately go, T, it's got to be you. You are our leader on the Orange. You were our leader before. I've known you since the beginning of Toronto and a little bit in Vegas. I trust T. It's got to be T. And then everybody's like, yeah. And we vote T.
Yeah, and it's one of these things where, yes, he goes first, and it's, again, you don't want to get a vote for the person who doesn't get elected captain because there's such fresh memories in this. So, yeah, I love kind of hearing your strategy mindset here. And then Twana goes up, she picks Dino, then she says, 8-17, I'm going to trust my gut here. And that's where I felt like, okay, this is one track versus the other, and Dino's in trouble. Can he put anybody else out there who could save the day? Unfortunately, he didn't, and I don't think anybody could have. And, this is the thing I would tell Dino is it didn't matter who he picked. There was nobody who was going to save him. And Dino and Jazz went home, and now we have our top 10. We go back to the city, and do you remember what time we got back and kind of what the vibe was?
I remember the 2-hour bus ride talking strategy.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's sleeping, and I'm just like, okay, so what do we think, guys?
And just to give some perspective, okay, we go into the top 10 and we look around. Patrick and I have been together since day one. Like day one, thick as thieves. Then you have two other Avengers, who we like and trust, 566 JC and 974 Gage. And it's like, there's a 40% chance that one of us win this thing. Like we felt great going in. And then I look at 830 Twana. We had mutual respect. 9:37. Emma was a solid connection with you. 9:47.
Yeah.
Yessie was solid.
Yep.
And obviously we had a little bit of a bond with Mikey from the monster truck poll. So it's like we look around and kind of go, man, this is a solid top 10 just in general.
Yeah, and Courtney and Queen too. Queen, again, I knew her as a strategist, and it was fun. Like, we would like rub shoulders and go, "What do you think's gonna happen? What do you think's gonna happen?" And I love that energy. And Courtney, I knew Courtney the least, but she was such a light in the game for everybody. She was such a sweetheart. And so it was a solid top 10 group, to be honest, and so diverse. 5 girls, 5 guys. Everybody looks different, smells different, acts different. I mean, like, I thought people were gonna think it was fake.
Yeah, no,
how diverse it was and how
equally split.
Yeah, like how interesting the different relationships too were. Like, you and me had gone all the way. Queen and Twana had known each other a long time. You and Twana were pillar mates. Me and Emma got close in Panama.
JC and Emma were both in the cubes. Yeah,
it's really fascinating.
Yeah, so we get home, we eat, we gather.
It was late. We passed out.
And then the next day we wake up. Yeah, we have a normal day.
Well, kind of a normal day.
Well,
took a little turn.
Tell me more.
That was our game day. Jimmy was in the city a bunch. We were saying hey. We were talking to Klitz and Jimmy and Jimbo and everybody. And it was like a fun, wow, like we did this. And I said, you know what? If we all have our own bunks, I'm going to throw a game night. Game night! Everybody, come pull your chairs in. Come grab the hammocks. We're doing a game night like I do in my house, like back in the day with all the kids, like me and my sisters would do growing up. So we threw a game night. I threw a game night. And everybody starts one by one, like, what's Patrick doing? I want to help. And so the chairs start flying. We got a couple hammocks so Gage can pass out at 9 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
And we play games. And I really bothered Jimmy a lot about playing Catan, because me and Jimbo would go back and forth a bunch in the show, like off camera, just, you know, me trying to predict challenges and getting it wrong half the time, getting it right 40% of the time. But the best part is he walks in with like 7 Catan boards. He's like, all right, let's go, Pat. We're playing. And John Yushai, I can't say his name, but John, Jimmy, John, the YouTuber who is documenting us, Jimmy, Emma, who's never played, and me, a fierce competitor, all play Catan while the top 10 and some like crew and camera watch. And it was like the biggest poker game you've ever seen in your life. Jimmy's talking mad negotiating skills. I'm calling him out on his BS. Emma and John are like, wait, who do I listen to between me and Jimmy? And then the rest of you, I'll never forget for the rest of my life. It was one of the best memories, like, ever. I just look, and Jeff and Queen are like this. And I went, this is amazing. This is my happy place.
It was fun to watch. And, you know, and then, you know, I was over there, I was playing chess with Mikey. Other people are talking. It was just like we had a day to relax, and we literally hung out with Jimmy and his fiance for hours. It was super cool. Then we kind of roasted some s'mores.
Oh yeah, the s'mores roasting. And then I would always try to play Jimbo in rock paper scissors shoe and beat him all the time. And so that was our final game, I think, of rock paper scissors shoe.
Okay, and then what happened later on that night?
Nothing. We went to bed.
So we went to bed again. So think about it. We do the train, come home, we kind of have a day off. And this is something people ask routinely. Like, how often did you have days off? I felt like it wasn't that often.
No.
But this was one where we kind of had a day and a half off. And then the next day, we wake up, and we pretty much have a full day to relax again.
And I'm going to be honest. I was feeling pretty good. I just had a personal achievement. I played a hard game of Catan with Mr. Beast. I am with a bunch of my really good friends and best friends in life now. I felt like I was at the top of my game. I had a dominant alliance from day one, and we were in a really good spot, 40%, maybe even 60 if we pulled in 2, to win this game. So I just hosted game night, so I'm really feeling the love and feeling that people like and respect me, and it's reciprocated well.
And the crazy thing, that this reminds me back of right before the Cubes. So the night before Cubes, we had a steak dinner, we had a dance party, then the next morning we had a potato sack race, like meaning we had immense team bonding. Like everybody was feeling loose, having fun. And that's what happened here. We had a day where we hung out with Jimmy. The next day, we got to spend a lot of time together. And then everybody is kind of feeling together and loose and warm and excited and kind of comfortable again. And then that night, they bring us out in front of the money.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an interesting kind of crew. One thing, the audience always sees Jimmy, but there's another guy who's kind of the show producer. I mean, he's the one who kind of makes sure everything kind of goes, who tees up the challenges and kind of explains what they are. Awesome guy. And, everybody in the cast likes him. All the contestants love him. He's just a great guy. But there's also an attorney next to him oftentimes to make sure that he doesn't skip any lines, that all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed. So the attorney's there, the show producer's there, Jimmy's there, like, hey, something's up, and you guys saw this on the video. We thought Emma broke some type of rule, and again, they're so strict on these rules that they'll review stuff for hours.
Yeah, they really will. The games are very fair. Like, none of it is any mystery. There's no cheating. Like, even if you predict challenges successfully, that doesn't mean anything because they could just change stuff. They did in some challenges when people predicted it. So, like, it's a very fair game.
And so, like, I remember, oh gosh, like I saw the attorney, I'm like, something's up. Like, especially it's Emma. I'm not even sure she's ever stepped on an ant. Like, she is the sweetest thing in the world. And they said, hey, like, I don't think Jimmy couldn't keep a poker face. But once they announced, like, hey, like, you have talked about your family more than anyone. And in my mind, I'm like, there's no way she's talked about her family more than me. Like, I talk about my family all the time. And they brought them around the corner. I was blown away, man. I was absolutely blown away.
I was too, because what the audience doesn't show is they held Emma in front of us, like, in this weird, uncomfortable, tense situation for at least 3 minutes. And I was kind of getting a little heated. I'm going to be honest. I felt a little defensive of my homie. I looked at Jeff. I kind of tapped him on the shoulder. I was like, we got to say something. Like this is kind of mean. And at a certain point, you see Jimmy just start cracking a smile. And we're like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
wait a minute. Something's okay. I don't need to say anything and make a jerk of myself. And then he's like, it looks like you really missed your family. And you just see them barreling down the gates of Beast City. And Emma just runs. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't see that coming at all. And I love predicting stuff. And I really had no idea. What's shocking is you'd think I would go, oh, that means maybe all of our families are here. That is not at all what I thought. I thought, well, she must have talked about her family the most. Jimmy's.
That's exactly what I thought. I just thought it was, hey, she got the prize. It was one person. But just to offer some perspective too, it's been about 4 weeks since we've talked to or communicated at all with our families.
Or the
no
outside
phone,
world, or anything.
no computer, no nothing. So like we have no clue what's going on. We really don't even know what date it is.
No.
So when you finally realized that your family was here, did it hit you before you saw them, or you saw them then it hit you?
Oh, this is emotional. I mean, you know me. We're so close. That everybody in the Avengers, I think, knew why I was playing there and how many years I'd spent trying to get on Survivor or get on a Beast video just to get my dad a house. My mom died from Lewy body dementia and Parkinson's disease 6 years ago, and it was a really important thing for me to get him a house one day, something that they lost along the way of fighting all these bills and life situations. So Jimmy pulls me aside after Emma is talking with her family. And again, Jimmy and me have a kind of like, I'm going to mess with you, you're going to mess with me relationship. It was very clear. And so I think he's going to mess with me. I'm like, all right, hit me with your best shot. Come on, Jimbo. Let's go. And he goes, oh, wow, like, do you wish you could have seen your family? And I go, I'm good. I'd like to see him, but I'm good. I'm ready to, I'm ready to play this challenge out. Let's do this. I'm ready to go. And he just goes, oh, so you don't want to see your family? I said, no, I mean, it's not like they're here. He goes, oh, but they are. They're right outside. And I was like, whatever, Jimbo. You're funny. Let's play. And he goes, no, they're really outside. They're right there. And then I got kind of serious because I was like, you can mess with me all you want as like player and host. That's a fun thing. But I leaned in and I was like, Jimmy, are you messing with me right now? Like, don't mess with my family, man. That's not funny. And he goes, no, I'm not. They're right there. And I turn my head. Oh my God. And the second I see them, I was gone. I think you see it on the video if you pause it. You see my reaction and then everybody's reaction, and then I just become this blurry linebacker running down the field of B City to go tackle my family. And I sure do. I grab both of them and we're like, ah! And I'm getting so choked up. I can't even speak. And it just meant so much to me. I can't even describe to you. Like one of the probably second best moments of my entire life.
Yeah, it was so weird because families kept going, but in my mind I was like, I don't know if mine's gonna be here. You know, I got a wife and I got 2 kids and they're in school and one of them is rare disease special needs. I'm like, and maybe it's just some families. When I saw them come around the corner, I lost it.
Oh, I know. So here's some lore, folks watching this at home. I run up to my family. I do the hug. I close my eyes. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. I look up. All these cameras are in my face all of a sudden. I'm like, let me have a moment. And then I look right. And guess what I see? On the other side of the wall of the city outside that we haven't seen, I see all of the families lined up. And I went, oh my God. I just got full body goosebumps thinking about it. I went, oh my God. I had one thought. Jeff's going to see Jen and Jack. And my family disappeared in that moment. I'm going to be honest with you. Because me and Jeff were so close. We're so close. We're brothers. And I went, holy crap. And as I'm thinking this, the showrunner runs up to me with Jimmy. And before Jimmy gets there to like greet us and talk to my dad, the showrunner goes, Patrick, don't tell them that their families are there when you turn around. Do not make it obvious. I know you're really excited for Jeff, but don't make it obvious.
Oh my gosh.
And so Jimmy comes and greets us for a second, which gives me a moment to process. And then we're running up, and I don't know if you remember this, Jeff, but I'm like walking with family, and I said, y'all, I love you, but I want you to know I'm gonna be distracted for the next like 2 minutes because I gotta watch this run up with Jen and Jeff, like the family of Jeff. It's gonna make me cry. Oh. And so then they run up, and you just do this bear hug with Jack and Jen, and I'm like, oh my God. But before the bear hug, there was one moment, if you remember this. I walk up, we have a couple moments before they share that the families are coming out. And I don't say anything, I keep my word. But I did put my hand, the second he said it, I put my hand on your shoulder, and I said, the second I visually knew we could see your son, I went, you're gonna see your son, buddy. He's right there, right in front of you. And you just, like I felt it in your shoulder, man. It broke me, dude. It was so meaningful to see.
It's one of these things that's so hard to explain, but like it was a top 5 moment of my life. You know, it's right up there with birth of kids and wedding. It's just the feeling, you know, and just have my 9-year-old son see me doing something with the people that he loves the most, you know, like Mr. Beast. Like, it just they were so proud of Dad, and Jim was so proud of me, just to make it to the top 10. It was a great feeling. So good to see him. And then, you know, it was great to introduce them to you and to Gage and to everybody. It was just it was a special, special moment.
I think one of my second favorite parts of the family visit was when like the fun, cuddly emotions were over, and my sister and me just are like, okay, who's who? Tell me the strat. Because my sister and me watched Survivor, so we were full on strategy mode immediately. Like after 5 minutes of hugs and tears, it was like, let's talk strategy immediately. Tell me who's who. I know you have the Avengers Alliance. Who are they? Like, you know, like you said that when we were walking up. Who are the Avengers? And so as we're walking up, I was like, okay, so there's Jeff, there's Gage, there's JC. We have the Avengers Alliance. Then there's T, she's the leader. And my dad's like, I'm freezing. What are you talking about? And I love my dad. It was so cold that night. And Charlotte's trying to keep track of it, my sister. And so there's a certain point after about 10 minutes, I go, okay, that's it. Jeff, grab your family. My family, let's go. We're going to the game night bunk. We're going to talk strategy for a little bit. And so we all sit in my bunk, which was the game night bunk that we turned it into. And we have a strat sesh with your wife, Jen, my sister, Charlotte, and my dad. And it was just so surreal. I had this moment where you were all talking strategy, and I kind of sat back like I did in game night and went, is this my life? I am so lucky. I'm so blessed and grateful because this is my literal dream come true. And it meant so much to me, just that moment, with your family and my family in the bunk, because I knew we were going to be brothers for life at that point.
Yeah, and people are probably like, hey, how could you know each other for a month or a month and a half and do that? It's when you don't have the distractions of a job that you have to go to every day, a phone that distracts you, any to-dos except to be present in the moment and do these challenges and eat 3 meals a day, you get super close super fast. And especially with people who you connect with and share similar values. I feel like I've known you for a couple of years, and literally it's been 6 months.
Literally. And,
So,
we felt that close in 2 weeks. Like,
yeah.
that's the crazy part.
Yeah, no. And people have been asking, like, hey, how long was your family there? And, it was probably around 90 minutes, maybe.
I think less. Emma, I think it was, or Courtney said, I think it was an hour.
Wow. So, it's...
I was there for maybe an hour because
So-
it was quick. It went by quick.
I got to walk them around the entire city, show them the towers, show them the big chessboard where all the Feastables were in the fridge. He got to talk to Jimmy. He got to talk to Mac. He got to talk to Nolan. It was awesome. I mean, and then they go, and you're like, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, back to it.
We had a different feeling there.
What'd you have?
I didn't take a vacation for 3 years from my job so that I could save up all my vacation days to be in a Beast Games or in a Beast or Beast video or a Survivor. So I was locked in. My sister looked at me and I went, look at me. You're not even here right now. I'm so locked in. High five. And because she gets it. She knows I'm here to play and she doesn't want me to get bogged down with the emotions of like, the sad backstory or that I got to play and win for my, like, I need to be present. That's when I'm best. I'm best in the moment. I'm best live. And so we talked strategy and then she said, listen, head in the game. And I said, survive and advance, Avengers. And she walked out and I went, I didn't need to see my family ever again. I was so on fire. I was like, I just had game night with Jimmy. I just saw my family and they see how good I'm doing and they believe in me. And I'm with my number one day one alliance, 831 Jeff. I've got a bunch of other Phase 3 Avengers with us, Gage and JC. I've got 2 other people we're really close with. This is my game to lose.
Yeah.
We have a really good chance of somebody in this alliance winning this game. Let's go. I was so fired up.
Love it. Yeah, no, I wasn't there yet. And I didn't get there until a certain moment, and then it turned on for me. But let's so the next thing we got to is we had the mysterious black box in the middle, and it was out there during the day. It was covered during the day. It was freezing during the day, but we were all trying to figure out what is this thing? What does it mean? Do you remember that?
Well, Jeff, I'm so glad you asked. Fingers of speculation. For those who don't know, this became a thing at the end of the game, and I would get clowned for it all the time, like with the top 10, because I would just be like, what do I think it is? So, fingers of speculation. We thought it might be a bribe for sure, and there'd be like $1 million or $2 million or something in the box, and we'd have to like divvy it up somehow, or it'd be some kind of captain thing. Maybe it's votes. So we all had a pretty good guess of what was happening, but we didn't know the mechanics. And boy, oh boy, is that going to be important to know.
Yeah, and then so we get there, and again, this is fresh after, like super fresh after our families left. You're talking about right away, and they remove the question mark kind of tarp. You see $1 million in a pyramid, and then they tee up the game, and the game again is. Well, first would they first vote for a captain before they removed it?
So,
Yeah.
After family visits, here's what happened. In episode 8, we had our families come visit us as a prize. Immediately after our families walk out, we are walked to this black curtain box in the middle of the city. Jimmy comes out and says, players, welcome to the top 10, congratulations. You will all get a key to a house. You're going to have to vote on a captain who will get the first house. Trust me, you want a lower number. Good luck. Nobody really says much in the first 5 seconds. again, using my strategy, I immediately say, I vote T. Twana player 830. She's been time and time and time again a leader for us. She gave up $1 million for a whole team. She gave up a lot of potential social capital by being a captain on the trolley problem in episode 7. She did what a lot of people couldn't do. She made tough choices for other people. I want nobody besides me, you, or her up there.
Yeah.
Fiercest competitors, in my opinion. The best competitors. And so everybody else is like, yeah, T. Like, we all love Twana. Of course, she's like the moral leader of the group almost. And so we vote T.
Yeah, and just to add some color, like, she's always every time we ask her to step up, she delivers. So it's kind of a no-brainer. It's kind of like, hey, she's done it 3 or 4 times, and even off camera when she steps up, she's just always does what she says she's going to do. So then the twist is now whoever you elect gets to select to hand out key number 2. Then number 2 hands out key number 3, 3 hands out 4, and so on and so forth. So when Twana was up there with 1, did you think she was going to pick you for number 2?
I hoped, but I didn't think so. I mean, I knew we were cool, but and I gotta say, I looked at T like a big sister. If I'm being frank, like she had a really big impact on me in the game and my personal life. And I think she did that for a lot of people, to be honest. But I thought Twana was gonna pick you, or me, or Queen, and I thought it was between you and Queen, but we had bonded a lot, so I thought maybe I get lucky. But I did think I would get an early house because, again, we had a dominant alliance. We were friends with everybody.
Yeah.
I had made moves that people were happy with. You know, I'd strategized about taking out the Habibis. I talked about maybe Dino rubbing people the wrong way. So I was kind of on the right side of most of the votes, so to speak, with the people. And so I did think I had a chance to get picked. When she picked Mike, I was shocked. Mm-hmm. I was absolutely shocked. It threw me for a loop, and I had to rein my emotions in that moment and go, I trust T. She's got a reason for this. I have to trust her.
It threw me for a loop. However, we saw Mikey differently in episode 6 with the push-ups, the monster truck pull, the dead hang, and that was like the most I'd ever really connected with him. And he seemed like an honorable guy who wants to stay positive and just kind of get the job done. So I gave him a little bit of benefit of the doubt. And then he picked JC, which was interesting to me too.
Yeah.
Again, me, you, and Gage just pulled a monster truck with him. We're just on. And that did form a strong bond, at least for me.
Absolutely.
Like Jazz and Moniz, super close with. Eric, 990, very close with because of that. So those 3 picks happened, and I'm sitting back here going, I might go really late, you know?
Yeah, it was very scary.
And then JC picks Emma, and that's when I immediately go, I think Patrick is good.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I knew the 2 people, the 2 guys I think she really looked up to and knew cared for her were you and JC.
I felt very close with Emma. We'd shared about life experiences, and she was like a little sister figure. And, she's really the purest of us all. I think I say it later on, actually, in this episode or the next one. But, like, she was such a pure soul, and she was also real. And I really appreciated her input and her opinion.
Yeah. Yep, we saw that realness in this episode. So now you get picked 5th, you pick me, I get key number 6. Then it went Gage, Courtney, Yessie, and then Queen. And then now we get on our stoops of our bunks, and the rules are announced that, hey, there's $1 million here. It's unveiled. And each person, starting with number 1, is going to be able to go up to the money and take as much as they'd like. However, you can't talk to anybody else. So everybody goes in their bunks, and one at a time, They come out and they deliberate and figure out how much they're going to take.
Brutal.
Do you recall how much time it was between you going in your bunk and you going out to look at the money?
It was quite a lot because this was the middle of the night. So we shot this. $1 Million Bribe was shot in the middle of the night. And I was in and out of sleep. It was freezing. I had like 7 sleep. Don't you laugh at me, Jeff. I had 7 sleeping bags requested by the producers. I said, I'm gonna need 2 more. It's really cold because I think the heat was broken in my bunk for like unfortunately for like that time I was in it. So I, like they were fixing it. The Beast team's really great. Like that was the only, like everything in Beast City, I want to be clear, was fantastic. I probably gained weight eating so much good food in Beast City. But my point is, I was freezing that night. So I got a bunch of sleeping bags. They took care of me. And so I just look like I'm in this little fort and Jimmy comes in and, messes with me a little bit. And Nolan and Mac, I think Mac came in actually and gave me Nolan's shoe and said, hide this quick. And then he ran out the door and I picked up the trash can, put it under the trash bag and shut the trash can. Took Nolan 3 hours to find it. So I know at least 3 hours have passed.
Oh, yeah. I was
so mad. It was so funny.
I was trying to think about that too. I fell in our bunks. You can see it on the episode. There's these little white kind of faux fur rugs. And I fell asleep kind of the whole time. I laid on the rug, and I remember by the time I got woken up to go to the money, like I had my contacts in, like I couldn't see. It was so blurry. I had no clue what was going on. So I want to take you back to yours. It's been a few hours. You're freezing cold. You step out, and there's $22,000.
I want to be very clear. When I stepped out of my bunk, I was literally delirious. I mean it, that whole episode, like, you see it in the episode. At that night, I'm like, people are talking, I'm just shaking my head. I was like a freezing penguin. I was like half awake and half there. And so it took me about 5 seconds to actually realize what had happened. Because in my brain, I thought, oh, okay, so somebody took like 20 or 50 grand because that's what's there in the box. And then I went, no, that's what's left? And I was shocked. I was like, oh my gosh. And Jimmy, I mean, you see it in the episode. I am audibly gasping. And so Jimmy and me walk up and he's like, like he always does. And Jimmy's like, me and Jimmy have this fun relationship in the game where I'm trying to figure the games out. And he's like, ha ha ha, nice try, player 930. And, sometimes I would get close. Sometimes I'd get it. Half the time I'd be completely wrong. And so this is an episode where I think I'm right. And we find out if I am or not at the end. But I see that there's $27,000 left in the box of $1 million bribe.
22.
I see that there's $22,000 left in the box at $1 Million Bribe, and I go, wasn't expecting that. Interesting. And I look over at the bunks, and I'm talking to Jimmy, and I'm like, okay, so you got T. No shot. Well, she did give up $1 million. Maybe she felt justified taking $250. I could see that, but she would never. I mean, I wouldn't blame her if she did. I really wouldn't. I'd be like, hey, you gave up $1 million and kept me in the game. You deserve it. But I don't think she would. So then there's Mike, lone wolf, not very social. Nothing wrong with that. Very peaceful, but a loner. I think that's an accurate categorization. It's not mean things.
I think it's a great characterization.
And he was a little sketchy sometimes. Like, he just was a little like, I'm not going to talk strategy. I don't want alliances. And I'm like, we're in you realize we're at the end of the game, bud. So I thought for sure Mike took a bunch of money. And then there's JC. And I'm like, okay, well, JC's got 2 kids. He did IVF. That's really expensive. And, he struggled. He's had some hard times in life. And I thought, okay, well, maybe he took a little more. And Emma, for some reason, I was like, I don't know if I've ever said this, but for some reason I was like, did Emma just like go crazy and like take like $200K? Because she was like, I'm really struggling, guys, and like panicked in the moment. Yeah. But then I'm like, Emma's a sweetheart. Emma would never do that to anyone. She took 100. And so I'm really confused, to be honest with you. And I wasn't mad in that moment. I was kind of like, this is a little exciting because now I get to, like, I'm such a gamer, I'm such a strategist. I go, ooh, now I gotta like guess who took the money. And then it dawned on me, oh, this is not good. This is, oh my God, they just screwed everybody after us and they're all gonna be really upset. And oh my gosh, they just betrayed everybody. And oh my gosh, it could have been somebody in my alliance because there's 3 people I'm really close with and 1 in my alliance. So I really think about it. What should I do? Should I take any money? I decide, because I had 3 hours to think about what I was going to do. My strategy was simple. We've all been fooled by Jimbo and the boys in Beast Games, okay? I'm no stranger. He got me in cubes real bad. Screw you, Jimmy. But I didn't want to get got again. And we're at the end of the game. I've watched every Mr. Beast video. Jimmy, yes, he hands out money. Mr. Beast does give away money in challenges. But he also is very good at sucking you in and tricking you into a false sense that things are as they seem when they are not. So I made a bold strategy decision. I decided there's probably an advantage or a disadvantage for the amount of money that you take in this little game we're doing that will be very important in the next challenge. If I take money, I'm going to screw over my alliance, Jeff and Gage, and I'm going to piss off the girls who I'm not so close with, besides Jesse. That's not a good idea. But I also really want to make a bold choice. I just saw my family. I'm in the top 10. I want to play hard. So you know what? I'm going to risk it. I'm going to make a really bold play, and I'm going to stand on my choice and stand on business. I'm taking $0, Jimmy. And all of them lost their minds. They were like, oh my God. Oh, what the, are you crazy? Like, you're going to take $0? Not even $1? Like, they just kept going. Like, they don't show it in the episode, but like, as much as JC got a reaction, I had that same reaction, like, opposite way. Like, I had all the producers in the back, like, you could hear him in the mics, like, oh my God, he's taking $0. That's crazy. Like, it was like a really fun moment for me as a player with the producers just being like a goofball.
Well, yeah, and just, I mean, again, they have played through every scenario. I'd imagine when they write these games, they're thinking through everything anybody could do. Like, to think that someone's going to take $0 is hysterical.
I don't know if I never asked, but a lot of them were pure shock on their face. And I was out there for like 5 minutes, us all laughing and like, this is a crazy. And they're like, are you sure you want to do this? And I said, yeah, I'm going to win this. And then I left.
And then he left, and then it's my turn. And
ooh,
again, Tariq,
you were bad, bro. That episode was scary to watch.
Tariq and Nolan wake me up, and I'm like, again, I don't know if I've been asleep for half an hour or 3 hours. I think it was a couple hours. And they're like, hey, how much money do you think's out there? I'm like, I don't know, probably like 340,000. You know, I'm thinking a couple people took 100, maybe some people took more, and I walk out, and there's 22,000. And I was like, in my mind, I looked at everybody in each bunk, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I was just beside. I just like kind of how you were delirious. I was awoken from a slumber, and then I get shocked with this. And so then I go in, they invite you into the money, and they're like, what do you want to take? And I was like, whatever, I don't care. Like, this is ridiculous. Whatever, who cares? And one of my favorite numbers is 72. And I said 72, $7,272. And then the moment I get inside, I do the math because I actually came to, and I'm like, oh shit, I took more than I should have.
Well, you were so angry in the moment, you probably weren't thinking clearly.
I was.
I saw the episode. Your eyes said it all. You said, it's interesting, and I was like, "Ooh,
no." Well, that's what I said. It's I'm not disappointed per se because it's a game, but I'm not going to forget it, and I'll find out who did it, and I won't forget it. Because again, you look down the line. I did not expect Twana to do it. I think you described Mikey perfectly. He's a wild card, but I don't think he's, wildly selfish. JC, just someone who is always talking about doing the right thing and playing with integrity. And Emma, again, the sweetest in the game, and then there's you. I know you wouldn't screw me over. So it was strange. So then we go back in, and again, we're waiting a couple hours.
Wait. Did you think, Jeff? Did you ever think about how much I took and what was that number? Like I want to hear all the rambling thoughts you had in your brain of like, oh my gosh, what if Patrick just pulled a crazy strat move and tried to take all the money?
I don't think you would have ever taken more than half of what was left. Like, meaning, if there's 22,000, you might have taken 20,000. Like, it was 42,000 before. Like, I never saw a world where, considering it was 22, it was easy for me to deduce that the likelihood of you taking a large number was slim. And then I look back and kind of go, the likelihood of Emma taking a large number was slim. So all roads for me pointed to the person I didn't know the best, which was Mike, which was 453. And so I go back into the room, and they take the money with you, and my money's up against the wall, and I'm just looking at it going, like, what is this even doing here? Like, I was disgusted. I really was. I was just like, what is going on? I just saw my family. This was like the best night of my life, and now this. I just had this feeling of disgust. I just didn't. I felt dirty again. So then we wait, and then it was time to come out, and I took my sweet damn time. I was like, I want them all to be out there, and I want to look them up and see who did this. You know, again, Emma said it. We all talked about kind of being close. And again, I get that it's a game. And I think part of it, I just didn't like to be surprised.
I think also it felt a little personal. We'd just seen all the families, and we knew each other enough. We knew each other good enough.
We knew each other enough, and we knew that no one was going to get eliminated. And we got teed up that, hey, you guys can all split this equally.
100K for everybody. I mean, I was just going to take 0. But 100K for everybody else, you know?
100K for everybody. And so I remember walking out, and I felt like I was going into a big football game. Like, that's the feeling I had, that it was, hey, this is intense, and it's game time. And guess what? Some people played a little dirty. Well, let's find out who it is.
And everybody's really serious. And I am so cold. I am not. I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I'm literally half there mentally. You see me in the episode just like this. Everybody's talking. I'm like, I was freezing. I was just nodding at what anybody was saying. Like, I couldn't even fathom thought.
I don't know if I've ever seen a grown man wear 2 beanies. Like, I didn't even think that was possible.
Jeff, I had 6 shirts on and 4 pairs of pants.
Oh,
I'm not joking. I had 6 shirts on. I had 4 pairs of pants, 2 beanies, a bunch of little hand warmers in my gloves, and I'm still bobbing around like a penguin. Everybody's fighting. They're really mad at JC. Sorry, I don't want to jump ahead, actually. So you cue it up.
No, yeah. I mean, everybody's seen the episode. If you're watching this, you've seen the episode. If you haven't seen the episode, man, go back and watch it. So we kind of get out there, and, you know, people are like, I cannot believe it. And then Emma goes, when I came out, there's only 27 grand.
And she was pissed. She was very upset.
She was so pissed. And then I look down and kind of tell the group, and she's like, I took 5 grand. And I look down the group, and I kind of go, that's just like, again, I've already done the math in my head in my bunk, and I'm like, hey, I took more than I should have. You know, I took 7,200. You know, and so they all got $1,000 less than they should have because of me. And so then it, you know, quickly looks at the top 3, and collectively the top 3 took $973,000.
I've never heard it said like that. That is wild.
Okay, then now I'll let's keep doing it. So number 1, Twana says, I went out and I took 100 grand. And again, they could be lying to us. They don't have to tell us. And I think this was part of there, is like, you don't have to tell people what you took. No one's going to know. No one's going to know tonight. Twana says it, and of course we believe her. There's no reason not to. And I trust her. Okay, so now we're looking at 873 between the two.
I took 223.
And
23?
I think Mikey says I took my fair share.
The way he said it too, I was like, "What does that mean? Your fair share is 100, Mike. What does that mean?"
I loved it when I saw that episode. I thought it was hysterical. I thought it was
It
hysterical.
was funny. Oh yeah, and the birthday, like he chose because of his birthday number. I'm like,
So
that's
yeah, so
not
that
fair, Mike. That's just you wanting to pick your birthday. Like, what do you mean? You know what would have been fair? You know what your birthday is? Your birthday's 23, right? So you should have took 23,000 with that logic.
it's called R rationalization. So then he says, yeah, I took, or I think yes, he's like, how much?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he goes, I took my birthday, 223. And then it hits Twana, and Twana goes, yes.
He does that. She goes, "You," and the music goes, "Bah!" And I'm like, that. I have full body goosebumps right now. I will never forget Tawana going, "You," and all of us, like, Mom just got the older brother in trouble, man, and he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, and
Oh, he got
It
caught
was-
with more than that.
well, the whole cookie jar. It was brutal to be there, even though I was like half delirious and freezing. I still recognized the seriousness of the moment because once we realized that JC had took the pot, it was shocking. It
Yeah,
was
and-
actually shocking.
And it was absolutely shocking. You know, and again, it was, what'd you take? You know, I mean, like, we knew it. You know, we might not have known the exact number, but directionally we knew it was a lot. And I think what happened was I wanted to hear it from him. I wanted him to say it. I wanted him to own it. And he says, I took 650. And it was wild.
Pin drop.
It
Drop
was-
moment. Nobody said
Well-
anything for a second.
Absolutely wild.
And then you
Tell us what you got.
look at him,
I
Jeff,
took 650.
and I see real fire that I have not seen in you ever before. And I went, is Jeff about to say something that I can't get him out of? I know, like, we should be mad at JC, but I'm also thinking strategy, and I'm thinking, like, oh my gosh, Jeff, don't say anything too bad that you, like, dig yourself a hole, because we
Yeah,
still gotta play the game, you know?
No, and I think for me it was more of, I've been had.
Yeah, this is our friend. This
I've
is our
been-
good friend. How
I've
can we
been-
do this?
I've been had. This is a guy I shared a bunk with in Panama. We both have two boys. Like, I started questioning everything he ever told me. And going, wow. Again, this is a guy the night before. Hey, love you, JC, or a couple nights before. You know, being there for him, and I was shocked. So it really wasn't even about the money to me.
No, it was about the choice, because we were we were really good friends.
And knowing again what he said to Emma too, right when he chose her, it was just like I just could not believe it. I'm like, what happened? Like something must have happened. So anyway, the episode, you see it all.
You say you have this great line where you're like, maybe it's not on camera, but in the moment you're like, so you left her 6% of the pot, and you took 94% of the pot. And it just kind of hung there for a second, and I'll never forget that. Because when you word it like that, it's brutal, man. What do you mean you left her 6% of the pot, and then you think she was going to take it all? Emma, the sweetheart who wouldn't betray anyone, wouldn't hurt a fly, she's not going to do that to me. We're close. She's not going to do it to Jeff. She respects Jeff. She's certainly not going to do it to any of the girls, and she wouldn't do it to Gage even if they weren't that close. So who did you think Emma was willing to screw over? Because, and clearly, maybe he wasn't thinking like at the time clearly, but if you're saying you're going to leave stuff for Emma, I think leaving her 6% of the pot is hard to understand, because you're screwing over not just Emma, you're also screwing over the 6 people after that.
Well, and nothing against Emma, meaning like Emma is 22, just beginning her life. The rest of us, you know, are, I don't want to say big boys and big girls, But
We're seasoned. We've been through some stuff. We have,
we-
we could have used that money.
but we could handle it, and I feel like it put Emma in a really tough spot. Like,
Oh, like emotionally, yeah.
but like, okay, I mean, do I take this? How much do I take? Am I supposed to take 27,000? Do I really want to screw over? Like, again, she's not going to screw anybody over.
No.
So, it was
Emma's reaction. Emma's reaction was the biggest. Your reaction in your eyes and Emma's reaction out loud were polarizing to me. Like Emma saying, "What the flip?"
Mm-hmm.
I've never been so afraid of someone saying a cuss word without saying a cuss word.
Yeah, no,
brutal.
She got so fired up. So yeah, it was just a moment of shock. Again, we're playing a game, and people always ask me like, "Why weren't you guys upset at Mike?" He's a wild card.
He's a wild card. We didn't know him.
Yeah, we didn't know him very well.
And he owned it. He literally just was like, "Yeah, I took it. Like this is a game. This isn't y'all's money. This is anybody's money. I took the money.
Yeah,
it's pretty simple.
This was my number, So that's why I've never said anything to Mike, and I won't. We go back into the rooms. I don't know how you slept that night. I slept a little bit.
Didn't sleep much at all.
And I woke up and got a coffee, and again we go from B City with 500 to B City with 10. It's a whole different ball game, and I think the first thing they show is Mikey and JC talking, and I come over and kind of spoil their party. By the way, they were isolated. Like,
we were all very upset with them that night, and we stopped talking to them that night. Like before we all went to bed, the 8 of us went to a bunk or went to a table, and we were talking without them, and we were kind of upset.
Yeah, JC kind of became persona non grata.
Yeah,
he kind of became non-existent to people. And the next day, still Mikey and JC, and I for me, I wanted to go and speak my mind, and again, as someone who got close to him, tell him how I felt, and so I did. And I thought it was rich the way he lectured Dino a couple nights before, and then did that. So for me, it was just kind of going like, hey, just own it, man. Just own it. And be kind of like, hey, Dino might have made the wrong choice, but he said, hey, I thought she was close to Twana. So that was my approach there. And
what was the line you said?
I wanted to know which R he was feeling. It's been a day. Was he feeling remorse? Was he sorry for what he did? Or was he just going to rationalize why he did it?
I think that's a really important thing to know, because it was a big decision.
And again, if he felt sorry, hey, I have to do this, but it hurts me that I had to take so much from Emma, or the fact that you and Gage and Patrick didn't get anything from it. I'm sorry, but I had to do it. That's a different conversation. And that's a conversation that never happened at the time. And so then it was.
We wake up. You talk to Mike and you call out JC, your buddy, for taking more than his fair share, and then we all sit together while Mike and JC are off to the side, and that's when some things started to happen. Somebody decided they wanted to have something to say because they were being shunned, and people wouldn't even look at JC besides you, and they decided they wanted to do something.
Yeah, and tell us more. What was that?
He decided he wanted to call a meeting in the Magenta house, which was like our T-Mobile house that none of us ever lived in besides people who'd won a challenge previously. So it was kind of like this good space to host us all that was kind of like Switzerland. The Magenta house was Switzerland.
Yeah.
And then it turned into a war zone. So JC brings us all for this meeting. And we think, oh, JC is here to apologize for taking the money and try to make things right. And that is not what happened. Well, it's partly what happened. I mean, he did say, I know the target's on my back. I'm sorry if you're upset with the choice I made, but I'm good with it. I accept it. I'm at peace with my choice. but there is something you need to know, and that's why I've called this meeting. And all of us are like,
His sidekick Jeff.
so this isn't about you taking the money? Like, what
Yeah.
else would you want to talk about? And so I'm very confused, and this is my buddy. I'm mad at him, but I'm a little concerned because you can tell he's getting worked up. And I know JC. Like, I love JC.
Yeah.
I can tell something is really hurting inside. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, spit it out. And boy, do I regret those words, because then he goes, and he starts like pacing, and he's like, and I can laugh at it now, and I'm going to, because it's freaking funny, it's good television. But JC just goes, and there's something you guys need to know. There's something you didn't know this whole game going on. I joined this alliance called the Avengers, and he was kind of a little theatrical with it. I'm gonna be honest.
And
not
by the
me,
way,
just like he was very emotional and being genuine, but he was very theatrical about it. And he goes, and there's something you need to know. There's an alliance that I'm not sure you guys even know about that have been running this game this whole time. You think they're your friends, but they're not. And like, I'm like, what is happening? Is he about to call out the Avengers? What did we do?
well, and by the way, everybody knew about the Avengers. Like
Well,
it was.
actually, everybody didn't, which was funny, but most people did, because after Panama, we quieted down quite a bit. After Panama, in the top 60, we went underground with the Avengers. But like, a lot of people knew us before then, so like, it was like half and half.
I mean,
Half the top 10 knew who we were, and half didn't.
They may not have known the name, but they for sure knew that me, you, Gage, and JC.
We're buddies.
We're
At
buddies.
least.
Yeah.
We're buddies. So, JC. And you're wrong. You don't know who these people are. You think they're your friends, but they're not. And I'm like, I mean, he's gearing up. And I'm like, I am having a full-blown... First of all, I just want to say something. I am literally, once again, absolutely freezing. It's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate in these very serious situations. I look like a complete goofball, like Home Alone. Like, I'm just literally, I'm in a sleeping bag for, like, if you watch the episode, I'm literally just sitting in a sleeping bag, straight up. My hair's just gone because I had the sleeping bag wrapped around. And I'm like, what is he about to do? I'm actually getting really nervous right now, and I'm kind of concerned for him as my friend. Gulp. And then he goes, and I'm going to introduce you to these people that I'm talking about, because you all need to know the truth. Let me introduce to you Puppet Master Patrick, his sidekick Jeff, and Gage, and me. We were all in an alliance that I'm not sure any of you know about. And we have been talking this whole time. And I got in with them earlier, before top 10, and I've learned a bunch. And I'm going to tell you exactly where you stand, because you think they're your friends and they're not. Queen, you're not in their top 5. Here's why. They've been trying to take you out for weeks. You're a threat. Twana, you're their biggest competitor. They're buttering you up. You're the goose to go all the way to the end and lay the golden egg for them. You're going to help take out everybody else. That's their plan, because you're a fierce competitor. And Emma, that one pissed me off.
You're a
And then
pawn.
Emma, you're just expendable. They don't need you. Yessie, they don't even really know you. They're just chatting with you. And Courtney, you know, you're not even on their radar. And Mike, you're a threat. They said so, because you showed how strong you were in the physical challenge. So they're coming after you too. So I just want you all to know that who you think are your friends are not your friends, and they're not the people they say they are. And I know I have a target on my back, and I'm not trying to take the target off my back. It's heavy. I feel it. But you need to know the truth. When he says this, it's about like 4 or 5 minutes. It's not like 1 minute. I have a full-blown panic attack. It wasn't fun. It wasn't funny then. It's funny now.
Mm-hmm.
It was very not funny then. I literally was practicing therapy skills I've learned from my therapist prior to the games to like be smart and not be in emotional mind, but be in wise mind, or a little bit of both. And so I said, okay, there's 3 things happening. 1, JC is losing his freaking mind. I don't know why the heck he's saying we're coming after him. I love you. Sit down, shut up, and own that you took the money. Brother, how can I help you if you don't help yourself? Like, what are you doing right now? 2, why are you yelling at me? Who told you this? What are you talking about? I'm your friend. What are you talking? I was so mad. And then 3, or I said 2, and then 3, I go, oh my God. Oh my God, you just blew up my game in the Avengers and called me a puppet master in front of everybody. Oh my God, there's 10 cameras in my face. Oh my God. Oh my God, how do I get out of this one? Even though you're not telling something that is true to me, and I don't know why you're saying this, it doesn't matter. Because you said it, and it has had an impact on everybody. I was already a strategist in the game. People already knew I was a threat. So the damage is done whether it's true or not, which it's not, by the way. But the damage was done. And so I am really just trying to be smart and be in wise mind, because I'm literally, you see it, like I grab your shoulder, Jeff, or Gage, I was shaking. Okay, I was really hurt and really upset. And I wanted to do two things. I wanted to run out of the room crying, and I was like, don't do that. That looks super bad and like makes you look like a you know, I don't know, guilty or
like you're guilty, yeah.
Or even like that you just can't like handle conflict, and that's not true. I definitely can. And so then the other part of me came out, and I was like, oh, now I'm mad. Now I'm really mad at JC, and I'm gonna let him know how I feel. And luckily, greater thoughts prevailed. I didn't lose my cool. I didn't run out of the room crying and mad that my friend hurt me. I didn't scream at him that he's a backstabber, or that he took the money, by the way. Didn't even mention that. I just was quiet. Because now you've destroyed our alliance. And I want to know what everybody else has to say and what they think of us now that you have spewed this nonsense to everyone. So, everybody starts talking. You see the girls react. You see some of the guys react. You engage, interact with JC a bit and call him out. Queen jumps in with you a little bit. And I'm completely silent. So, you want to talk, and then I'll say like what I say, like once Courtney calls on me, but why don't you talk a little bit about your experience going into it?
Yeah, no, I didn't know what to expect. I think I was hoping for a mea culpa. I was hoping for remorse. I was kind of hoping for, hey, I had to do it, and if I hurt you, I'm sorry, but this is a game. Like, I think that's what I was hoping for, but once he got up and started talking, I go, I don't know where we're going, but we're not going there. And, you know, I started, you know, again, I am usually calm, but I was like, what is he talking about? Like, what's going on? So I start getting a little fired up.
Oh, and you sure did.
Yeah, and it was intense. I didn't understand the intent. Like, was there more to why he thought that we were conspiring against him?
There was more to the story. And as you and I learned, because you and I were together, and when all this stuff happened, but we didn't know at the time that had happened until later on. So in this Magenta House fight, where JC calls out the Avengers, who, by the way, were not just a boys' alliance. We had lots of girls. We were just the people left in the alliance, and it happened to be 4 guys. We were very surprised by JC calling us out. And we learn in that moment, JC goes, I have a source who told me that my alliance was betraying me, that the boys were coming after me.
And he said, a source in this room.
And that's when I went, what source? I didn't say, like, what are you talking about, man? What are you talking about right now? Who is saying I'm not loyal to the Avengers? I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill. I am loyal to my team. Are you crazy right now? I pulled you into the Avengers. Like, what are you talking about? And so I was pretty animated in my head about it. But then he keeps going. And he goes, I don't want to say who, but somebody in this room confirmed it. I got a second confirmation on it later on. And in my head, I'm going, there's only one person that it really could have been who maybe could have thought something. Twana. T.
8:30.
My trusted friend, 8:30 in Twana. She was never part of the Avengers. She never wanted to do alliances. But man, she was right next to us every step of the way, in my opinion.
And same here. I mean, I trusted her as much as I trust you.
And that says a lot. and I felt the same. And it's interesting because, and this kind of leads to the conversation we're about to have about maybe the motivations of why JC took the money and called us out. So let's get into it. I'm going to paint the scene of what happened from different points of angles of me and Jeff as one person, because as always, our experience is shared, which is hilarious, and then JC and Twana. And here's what you don't see in the show. When we had game day, after the trolley problem, we had a day off. We had a game day. It was great. I'm the king of the castle. I'm having a blast. Life is good. Next day, I'm feeling a little cocky and confident. I got my Avengers Alliance. I got Twana, who I look up to, and a fierce competitor I want to like take out at the end of the game, like, you know, go head to head, like warriors. And I've got Jeff, who I want to go against at the end of the game. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm friends with him and Yessie. Life is good for me, player 930, right? So I invite Twana to come to the game night bunk. Almost like kind of you had a big party with your friends and maybe you drank a little too much or ate a little too much pizza and you're all kind of cleaning up. And so she comes over to the bunk with you and we just start talking about the game and strategy like we always do. And I say, and by the way, I am not 100% sure what I said. I want to be very clear about it. But this is what I remember saying. And Jeff, you know, you can say what you think, but this is what I remember saying, and this is what I remember what happened. Me, Jeff, and Twana are in my game bunk after a fun game night. We're talking strategy. I, of course, Mr. Strategist, lead the conversation and am rambling on. And I go, Twana, okay, here's what I'm thinking. If you could only pick the toughest competitors, here's who I would pick. You, obviously. Me, obviously. And Jeff. Strong bronze third. No, just kidding. But like, honestly, yes. Like, you were definitely third place. I'm sorry, Jeff. Like, if it's me and Twana and you, I'm getting silver. She's getting, or no. Oh my God, no, I said silver. I'm getting gold. Tawana's getting silver, and you're getting bronze in my head, in my lineup.
Yeah, no, and that's and I felt the same way. It's me, Twana, then you. I get it.
And I bet Twana thought it was her, you, or me. And so, like, there's a lot of respect between the three of us at that time, in my opinion. And I think it was really genuine. And I don't question that now. I start talking about a top three. And I say, oh, well, like, you know, I know I have my alliance with the Avengers, but, like, you could take out JC, take out Gage. And I meant it, like, just figuratively, like, oh, like, just saying, like, a top three, like, take out one of my boys and put you in. Like, you
can substitute.
Yeah, you can substitute. But I'm pretty sure I said take out JC. Like, the words take out JC, I think I said. I'm not sure, but that's what I think I said. Or something like that. And the reason I'm saying that is because it gets brought up in the Magenta house that I said the words take out JC. Mm-hmm. With that said, Twana gets kind of a little less chatty. She gets a little, I don't know, her body shifts. Her body language is a little like, I don't want to do all this alliance talk stuff. And I was like, oh, yeah, like, you know, I don't mean like, I'm just saying like who I think the fiercest competitors are. Like, it's you, me, and Jeff all the way. You know, so like, it'd be crazy if the three of us went against it at the end. I would really love that. That'd be like my ideal. Even though I love my boys, I've been very vocal that I want to go against T at the end. It's not a secret. I know I've told a number of people that. And so then I say, what about a top five? Like, here's my top five. It's me, Jeff, JC, Gage, and you, and Emma. And it's kind of tough because, like, we really got close with Emma. But who would I put Emma above in that bracket if we're being honest? The guys I've known for a long time and T, who I've known for a long time, that wouldn't be honorable to them. And so then I thought, oh, wait, I'm sorry, T. Who do you want in your top five? Like, maybe we could take out JC or Gage and you could put who you want. I was really just trying, no matter how I said it, I was just trying to have a conversation with Twana about who she wanted in her top five and how cool would it be if the three of us went against each other in the end. And she got really kind of like quiet and kind of like antsy. And then all of a sudden, somebody knocks on my front door and we don't know who it is. And we all kind of like jump up a little bit. Twana goes, I don't want to be seen strategizing like, this isn't good. I got to go. And Twana runs out of my bunk. And me and Jeff go, what the heck was that? And she literally like flies out of the barn door in the back. It was kind of like a cartoon. It was hilarious. I mean, it wasn't hilarious in the moment, but it was hilarious like looking back. She's like, I gotta go, and just runs out like the coyote or the whatever it's called. And then as Tawana's leaving, as fate would have it, who walks in?
JC.
JC, of course. So JC walks in as Tawana's walking out, and JC is like, like you see the smile turn. He's like, "What's going on? Why are they whispering and talking all hushed?" And then she runs out, and he sees her body like leaving the door in a sprint. And me and you look white as ghost. We are quiet. You know why? Because guess what? We are also having the same reaction of JC. What the heck just happened? That was so weird.
Yeah.
And so we just were kind of quiet and probably pretty sketchy. If I'm JC and I walk into this house and my two best friends are talking in whispers and I hear through the door, because he told me he heard some whispers and then like a rambling, and then he sees Twana run out, I'd be a little suspicious too, to be honest. And then when he asked us about it, we were like, we don't really know. We were kind of cagey about it because we didn't know how to address it because it was so odd. And we were like, we don't really know. We were talking about like, you know, top 3 and top 5, and she just kind of pieced out. And I went, anyway, whatever, let's talk strategy. Let's talk top 5. And I never thought about it again.
And to add some color, again, we didn't know, we didn't put this together, or you didn't put this together until after. You know what I mean? Where it was like, when JC was saying this, we're like, we have no clue what he's talking about, and then trying to
the house,
in the magenta house, and then trying to deduce what it was. When did this hit you? Like, when did this hit you? Kind of going, oh, that was the conversation.
I was thinking very quickly because I was in an incredible adrenaline spike state and having a panic attack, which is really great when you have to think fast. So my fight or flight was like, I'm ready to fight or flight, but I'm ready either way. And so I started looking around. I was like, I talked to top 3 and top 5 with Twana. Could she have misunderstood what I meant and thought I was not being integrity based? And then what happens? You know? Twana raises her hand. Nobody outed her. She said it herself. She goes, I'm the one who told JC. And I'm like, what? Excuse me? Ma'am, we are friends. I would never, like, I was like so confused. And I really love T as a person. And I want people to understand this. I don't think T would do something out of malice. I don't think T would do something that she 100% didn't believe was integrity based. That's how I felt in that moment. So, you know what I thought, Jeff? I thought, well, I clearly said it. But
Yeah,
I don't
no.
think I said it the way you interpreted it. Because I thought about it. I was there. It was yesterday. I remember what I said. And so I don't remember exactly, but like I remember what I said in the intent. You know what I mean? And so she starts talking about it. And I'm like, I look at her. I go, Twana, let's air this out right now in front of everybody. Why would I say that to you? Why would I ask JC to be my bunkmate in Panama? Why would I ask JC to join the Avengers? Why, after one of the best nights of my life with my buddies, JC, Gabe, and Jeff, and you, would I then go, hey, right now, tonight, let's take out JC? That makes no sense. Yeah, I want to go against you in the end, but like not like that, you know? Like it's an idealistic version. And so I think she didn't realize that. I think Twana truly believed. I was like, no, we're going to take out JC and we're going to put you in his spot and we're going to screw our alliance over. You want to join the Avengers? But she's like, oh my gosh, this isn't the Patrick that I know and respect. I'm out.
And that makes sense why she maybe chose Mikey.
Exactly.
You know, and I wonder if Mikey she said, Mikey, choose JC. I wonder if that was the case. We'll never know. Actually, maybe we will.
Because it's very obvious if you think about it. Because she goes, I'm going to choose. She takes a minute when Twana 830 is choosing who should get keys at the $1 million bribe. She goes, and I'm like, why is she struggling so much? She should know who to pick. She knows her friends. And she goes, I want to pick what's fair and right or just and right. And she said it twice. And then she picks Mike. And I'm like, the loner who has been socially not with us, who we all don't trust? That kind of seems odd. But then maybe she meant like, oh, well, he did win the challenge for everybody. He hasn't screwed anybody over.
That's what I thought.
That's kind of fair.
He stepped up at a captain. He earned it. That's what I thought.
Yeah, and like, hey, Twana and Mike were both captains. Captain, I can respect that. Totally. It shocked me, but I can respect it. But then she goes, and she whispers in his ear. And then she gives him this look, that T look that she does. You know what it means? I mean business. You know what I'm talking about? I love it. She's like, and I'm like, is something going on? I remember saying that to myself in my head when she gave him that look, because you see it for a second. It was a little longer than what they showed in the episode. So we're in the Magenta house, and I am piecing this all together. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like a grand conspiracy against the Avengers, and it's all my fault? Well, or is it T's fault for telling JC? Or is it JC's fault for blowing this up? And I land on Twana, obviously, because she's the one who started this whole thing. Or me, for maybe misspeaking, because I'm an idiot, and sometimes I don't say everything clearly. And so Twana and me start talking. And I ask her, you remember this, Jeff? I asked Twana point blank, why would I say that? Tell me. What did you say? What did I say? And I'm literally like leaned in looking at her like, let's clear the air right now. Because there's no way I would take out JC unless I really wanted like a top. And I said it like, I would want a top 3 with you. And it was like the 3 of us. And no offense, JC, but maybe I thought like she was a better competitor. That's the only scenario I could possibly think of. And I don't remember what Twana really said. I think she I do remember one thing she said. She said, I don't trust Patrick. And then like immediately later she went, no, that's not what I meant. I misspoke. I do trust Patrick. I do trust Patrick. And that meant so much to me that she kind of doubled down on that, because I'm not lying to anybody. Like, I'm here to play a good game. You know what I mean? I'm the leader of the Avengers. I want to play fair. So, like, I really took that to heart when I got called out by JC. And T, like, kind of going back saying, no, like, he did say that, but I do trust him. And then everybody just started going at it, to be honest.
Yeah, and then, but it is one of those weird things with Twana, because she has this amazing way of earning people's trust and delivering on it, where it's hard not to believe her. It's hard not to. It's hard not to at least directionally trust her, or at least trust her intent. So, you know, if she went to JC and said, "Hey," you know, warned him, I think she thought that. You know what I mean? So, and again, this is all the color that I don't know if it really. Knowing that if I were JC, it's kind of going, "Hey, they're going to take me out. This is my only shot. I'm not going to win the $5 million, so I have to go for this."
And I think I want to add a bit more to that. So that's how the Magenta House fight goes. And at the end of it, I look at all the top 10 and I say, here's where you are in my rank, and here's why. I have no problem taking accountability for my game. I got nothing to hide. I'll tell you everything. And I did, right? I did that. And I didn't have to do that. I could have said nothing and been like, screw you, bro. Like, what the hell? But I didn't do that. I was accountable and I was honest. And I was fair. And I told the truth. And I was really proud of me in that moment. Because, my God, I was shaking like a leaf.
You did awesome.
I was shaking like a leaf.
It was an interesting moment. And I think that, believe it or not, most of us got over it pretty soon after.
Immediately.
You know?
That was crazy.
Because I remember walking out of the room and I put my arms around JC. And I said, JC, I honestly don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't know. Like, these are two separate things. What you just said, the Magenta room is different from you taking 650. But I don't know what you're talking about taking you out and having a kind of a conspiracy against you. So I was just like we're good on that. You know, I wanted him to know. But it was, you know, looking back, awesome for the show. I mean, we needed some drama, but it definitely changed things, and
it changed everything. It changed the whole game.
Yeah, and this is what's so cool about Beast Games, is like how one person can change it, and this is why. Yeah, it's a lot of chance, a little bit of skill, but a lot of strategy, and someone can derail someone's hopes in a second. So
Twana blew up my game. I don't think she meant to, really, but maybe it is what it is. Like, you know, that's what I love, is like who's to blame? Me for misspeaking, Twana for telling JC for taking the money, JC for coming after us. Everybody, like, you know,
and let's play it out another way. You wanted to go against your toughest competitor at the end. Okay, you wanted to go against 830 Twana.
Yeah.
What if she didn't? What if she said, I need to get rid of my toughest competitor right now?
Bring it on, friend.
No, but that's my point. She, you know, we don't know.
Like,
that was
she? Okay, I see what you mean.
So, like, again, like, these are, everybody plays a different game of strategy.
She was trying to break up the Avengers. And
She could have. Again, we don't know. But I mean, like, I just think she is a phenomenal game player. Like, I think she plays very fair, but I think she's formidable.
She's still playing, you know?
So,
So the Magenta House fight ends on a good note. I tell JC, I get teary-eyed, and I'm like, JC, you taught me a lot about it being a husband and a father, and, like, I really respect you and I love you, and I want you to know, JC, when all this is over, I hope we're still friends outside of this game. Because I was never coming for you, buddy. You're my alliance. Period.
And that's kind of how I felt, too. I kind of felt like I needed to get off, like, hey, like, I understand you're upset, and I understand I came at you for the money, but the alliance thing, there was no fracture in it. There was no, like, hey, conspiracy to get rid of him. So I'm glad that I had that chat with him after.
Me too.
And so then we go back in our bunks. And then that night we get called to the towers.
Hold up there, Jeffy. One thing happened before that. So after the Magenta House, everybody walks out, and everybody, collectively, JC kind of goes off on his own again with Mike, and all of us huddle up for hours. And everyone's like, Patrick, stop looking like a sad puppy. None of us hate you, okay? That was BS. You don't think we don't know Jeff's your best friend? Come on now. Like, you'd have to be blind as a bat, okay? Jeff is clearly your go-to guy as a pal. And you engage, buddying up, laughing all the time. And, like, it's no mystery to us that you guys are friends. We're still mad at JC for what he did. Even if he was trying to get against you guys, he still screwed all of us in the process. And that wasn't right, and that's not okay. So while we love him as a person, and we're going to have to forgive him on our own, in the next game, he's going bye-bye.
And think about it. He could have easily done that to meaning, hey, like, they're out to get me. I'm going to get it and go home. But it was interesting the way it all played out. Like, the more I think about it, I so many questions I want to ask. I love my questions.
I love JC. I know the world hates him right now, but we don't. We might have questions to hold him accountable, but I got nothing for love for him, man. Like, that's it.
I agree. You know, and I hope to get him on the pod soon, and we'll share a ton of laughs. And yeah, JC.
We shared a ton of laughs with JC. Like, you, me, and JC engage. Maybe Maddie too. Like, I haven't laughed. We were just crying. We would get points if we broke each other. Like, I would break JC all the time. Gage would break you. You would break. Who would break? No, somebody would break me. But the point is like, we were real buddies. It was like summer camp.
It was real. It
was a hilarious member for our alliance. You know, he was.
It wasn't just an alliance. I mean, I felt that we were super close. And then we go to the numbers. We're kind of going, oh, geez, like, okay, like, well, what is the next thing? You know, what if we do kind of redistribute the money? We're trying to figure out what the next challenge was. And so then me
and Twana were just like strategizing in the corner a lot. And Twana told me like, "Oh, please, I don't like you. Jeff, will you handle him? He's an emotional ball." Like, she kept trying to tell me everything's fine and she doesn't hate me, cuz I was really emotional. I was like, "Twana, are we not friends? Like, I thought we were friends." She was like, "Oh, stop it. Of course we're friends." Like, you know.
But again, watching the show now, it helps me understand that this was a game from episode 1 up until episode 8. This is a game. And granted,
it wasn't. Like, for me, I love strategizing. It was really personal for me.
I get it, and that's by design. By design, it makes us connect with each other, become emotionally dependent on one another's. Psychologically, it's designed this way. And again, I have great friends from the show. I don't regret it. You know, I cross the lines of strategy and friendship, and that's how I play the game, and I loved it. So, but we get called to the towers, and we've already been sleuthing the towers. We saw the phones on the wall. We see these screens. Like, we know something's going on. And then we see the red phone down by kind of closer to the money pyramid, the $5 million. And Jimmy tees up this challenge.
Wait. Did they have the chairs out at that point, or did they bring them out?
I don't know.
I think they had I think they had some chairs.
6 chairs.
Yeah.
So they had 6 chairs.
No, they brought them out. They got us on the towers, and then they brought them out.
Had to have, yeah. So
Yeah.
once, and we go, and it is cold, and I remember being out there, and I had bunk number 6, and I remember like looking at the tower, and 6 was on the top floor, and I'm going, oh no, it was so cold, and up there it's so windy. I'm going, I do not want to be up there. Patrick is at 5, so he's on the first floor on the left side. I was like envious.
Heights, and I was so grateful to God. I was like, please, if we have to do these numbers, can I just switch with somebody to be on the bottom floor? Like, I do not want to be on the top. I would have been a mess. Like, it's so funny that like the 2 strong, like people, like older strong people, you and Twana, the 2 parents, both of you are up there. It was kind of ironic. Like mom and dad are up at the top.
Exactly. It's so funny. So then we all get assigned to the floor that assigned to our bunk. Inside our floors, there's a red phone, there's a timer, and there's these 10 monitors on the wall, and they're kind of like closed caption TVs that you can see inside other people's rooms. And Jimmy comes out and says, "Hey, like here are the rules of the game. Like this challenge is going to involve you." He said only 6 of the 10 are going to advance to the final.
Whew.
And the cash that you got last night, you're going to be able to use to bribe one another to move on and to earn votes. And guess what? You can have secret deals. You can tell somebody that you're going to give them money for a vote. They don't have to vote for you. And do you remember how long these timers were for?
Yes, I do. But they
I think we should
know that yet.
Yeah, so I think we should wait until next episode. But it is one of the things that once the timer hits 0, your votes are locked in. And
now everybody's thinking, how much money do I have to play this game?
And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, where I went was JC, Mikey, and Twana have leverage. How are they going to use it?
Yeah. What'd you think of me?
I felt bad. I felt bad for you. I honestly felt like, oh my gosh, I need to give him some money, but then I'm like, I don't have that much.
Oh, you thought that? Oh, that's you.
Yeah.
I took it. You know, I wouldn't. Have
I know you would. Like, I would have had to like sneak it into you. I don't know how I could have done that.
I would have been so pissed if it.
I know. Oh, no, trust me. I thought about it all. So it just we got up there, and I think I said on camera, like, hey, I feel good about this one. I didn't feel good. I think like I just didn't know what to feel. Like I just was like,
I can tell you how I felt.
Yeah, how'd you feel?
I looked around, I went to camera and said, brutal, Jimbo. You got me again, dang it. Because I did accurately guess it. I said, I think the amount of money you take will be an advantage or a disadvantage in a major way in the next challenge. I was correct. It just happened to be disadvantage. So I made a bold swing for an advantage, and I got the other side. But there's another case to be made. I kind of loved having no money, to be honest, because I really tried to play an integrity-based game. And now I just got called the Puppet Master Patrick, the strategist, which I was the strategist. I wasn't a puppet master. I mean, I was kind of the meat shield, in my opinion, for you a lot of the time, and some of the Avengers as the leader, but like, I wasn't a puppet master. You all had your own minds. We were more like a team, like a democracy of
I think calling you the puppet master says more about me engaged than it does about you.
I guess, but I just didn't love it. I mean, it sounds badass, but I didn't love the moniker. And I know why? Because now it's in all these people's heads that I'm this manipulator. And I'm like, nah, dude, I played a straight up game this whole time. Don't put that name on me. Oh, wait. Now we have to vote in people? Oh, wait. Didn't you just blow up my entire freaking game and tell everybody that I'm this big bad puppet master? I wonder how I'm going to do. Oh, wait. And I have no money to bribe anyone to give me a vote? Well, here's what I'll tell you. And I remember it surprised you then. And I think it's really important to go over. I was thrilled I had no money. I really was. You know why? Because now you can't question my integrity. I'm not going to bribe you. I'm not going to, I have nothing to bribe you with, so how could I? And so it's not spoiling anything for the next episode. I have no money at the beginning of this challenge to bribe you. So people have to vote on me based on merit, it seems like. And I think it's going to be really interesting for the audience to see what I choose to do and how I choose to play and how having no money or having a lot of money affects, and how this fight affects the decisions that people make in the tower votes of episode 9.
Yeah, and I think you look back to episode 7 with the train, and you look at the fresh memories of Dino going around, hey, you ready to step up, baby? What do you think, Coach JC? And he wasn't able to reshape his narrative, and I think the question is, what happens to our alliance? Is our alliance able to reshape our narrative?
Yeah, and like, for me, it's really important to highlight JC's perspective. I think it's really easy to point blame at people. I think it's a lot harder to put yourself in their shoes. So let's do that. We now know the psychology JC, or what we know of, perceived psychology going into this $1 million bribe. 1, Twana ran up to him 20 minutes before the challenge, is what I was told by him. Hey, don't trust the guys. Your best friends, they're not your best friends. And I'm going to be honest. If Twana told me that, I would believe her. Because Twana, I'm serious. Twana was like the moral voice of reason. She really was. Like, she would never lie. And so, I'm JC. Well, I'm me. I'm Patrick. Twana tells me that JC, Jeff, and Gage are betraying me. Oh, I'd be so pissed. I'd be so hurt deeply and angry and fearful. Because now I'm going to start getting paranoid. Wait, were the conversations we had in Panama really real? Wait, is that why they brought me into the Alliance? So I could be their fall guy? I was the last one. And I can imagine all the things.
Trust me.
JC's an emotional guy. I can imagine. He has a lot of empathy. I can imagine how hard it must have been, and I feel bad for him, how hard it must have been for him to really think that we were going to just backstab him. And then, oh, no time, right into a challenge. You're going to see your family. Guess what? He didn't see his family. Everybody else saw their family besides Twana and him. And you could tell it shook him.
Yeah.
But now he's starting to think all this stuff about us and his friends. And now his family's not here. And why is everybody else's family here? And you can just start see the wheels going off the tracks in Paranoia Town. And by the way, I'd probably do the same thing if I'm being honest. And then you get a third whammy. JC has his friends coming after him, his best friends in the game. He doesn't see his family. He's getting paranoid about everything. And then the third whammy is on the $1 million bribe. JC is the actual first person to get betrayed, if you think about it. He walks out, and instead of $200,000 missing, how much was missing?
$323.
And who was ahead of him?
Twana and Mikey.
And who was Twana? The person who just came up to him 20 minutes before the challenge and said, hey, don't trust the boys. Your Avengers Alliance are coming for you.
Yeah, so you could easily kind of go,
wait, what's going on?
Yeah, she took a little bit more. He took a little more. I need to take a little bit more.
So now Twana.
So I have a clarifying question. Twana talked to him before the families came, or before?
I don't know. He told me 20 minutes before the challenge, so I'm not sure. I think maybe before the families. That makes the most sense.
Okay.
But maybe it wasn't.Maybe it was after. It doesn't change. The order doesn't change things, though, because either way, you get hit with the no family. Your family's not there. It's your family.
I know, and you see that you
blindsided by your best friends. Well,
you see
blindsided.
You see it in the episode where he's like, where's Joe and Preston?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I could only imagine if Jen and Jack weren't there. Yeah, so again,
your best friends are coming after you, so now you're really getting paranoid.
Yeah,
That's for him.
I get it, and and this is why when I look at this now, I can kind of go, okay, like, I don't know what I would do in a situation. I mean, I hope I would, but if I felt betrayed, again, you're expecting $200,000 to be gone, and 323 is, you feel like you got betrayed by your best friends who, again, our interactions were sincere. So if you think you're getting betrayed. You're going, oh my gosh, I thought this was real, and it's not.
Nothing's real. Yeah, it's all fake. I gotta do something now, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's what happened. I think he just had like a mental snap. He got really scared. He got triple whammied. Your best friends are backstabbing you. You didn't see your family. Everybody else saw their family. That's gotta hurt. And now you get screwed by the person who you're supposed to be able to trust the most in this moment, who's bringing you this vital information, and the guy who's talked about playing a fair game and no negativity. Even if he was a loner, he was never about drama or anything. I would be so pissed off if I was him, and I'd be really scared because now I don't know. Nothing's real. Everything I thought was real is not real. Oh my God, I've got to take this money. I'm in debt. My family, my boys, like, what are they going to say if I don't come? Like, I got to take this money and they're not going to pay my mortgage. Screw these guys.
Yeah, like I am about to get out. I have to go for it.
This is my life raft to save my family.
Yeah.
I have a lot of empathy and love for JC because I'm sorry, but it's really easy to point and judge. Even for me, the two guys who calls out and screws us over. But here we are sitting, saying how much we love him and putting ourselves in his shoes. You know why? Because he's our freaking friend. He is our friend for life. I don't care what the internet says. I don't care what anyone says. Put yourself in his shoes and you might go, wow, that must have actually, maybe I don't agree with the amount he took, but I could totally see why he would be spinning out in his brain and go, I've got to do something drastic and take a lot of money.
And Patrick, like, I've thought about those things separately, but I've never put them together the way you did right there.
Really?
And it does allow me to look at this very differently. You know, and again, it doesn't mean I can't feel surprised because I did. But then again, I didn't think about all these three things that you said. We didn't know about the Twana conversation.
Had no idea. We were in that moment. Our best friend betrayed us, so it's funny. We both felt betrayed.
And I didn't know. You know, again, I mean, I know his family situation, but I didn't know, like, that neither of them came. I didn't know that.
I didn't know because you and me were in our bunk with our families.
I didn't get to meet everybody's family. And then obviously, you don't know what it feels like to walk out to 323 gone. Wow.
And we see him feel it. We see him when you start to see him. He literally says, I think the two people in front of me. And you can tell he's kind of nervous, by the way. Probably because the blind side from us that he's perceiving to be real and the family visit not going as he thought. And he's like, I don't think they're going to take the money. I don't think they'll do it. And then they do. And he's like,
what do I do? Again, and
you just start seeing the wheels turning, you know?
And I need to, like, again, I came out 22,000 divided by 5, you know, is
nothing.
No, it's 4,200 and change, you know, 4,400. I took 72. I took 65% more than I should have.
That's more than Mikey, if you think about it.
Yeah. So, I mean,
but you were heated. You were in the moment.
I know, but like my point is, it's because I was in there going, what the hell? Oh my gosh. So I get it.
So yeah, imagine his scale with all those triple whammies together.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I
made a similar choice.
I don't want to be the sucker and everybody else takes more. Wow. Well, that's good stuff, Patrick. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
This has been another episode of The Beast Files. I am Jeff831. I was joined by my dear friend Patrick 930. And I want to give a special shout out to all the Avengers out there. Doesn't matter what phase, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm sure Patrick had some 7s in there. We love you. What a ride. Adventure of a lifetime. We'll see you next week.
Till next time. Avengers out.